Do the bumper. All right, let's see if I can do this right. Okay, anytime you're ready, go ahead and go. Bumper.
Hey, it's Anish Majumdar from helloanish.com, and you are stumbling, swerving, and rocking towards transformation with Jeffrey Smith and the Vroom Vroom Veer podcast.
Wow. I'm going to go ahead and say that was really well done. So we should not use that one. It was just too good. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Drexwell Seymour, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Everything is going well. It's Friday.
Right.
I just celebrated my birthday 2 days ago.
Oh, happy birthday. Good for you.
Well.
Excellent. Okay, so you are Drexwell Seymour. I hope I'm saying that right. Your nickname could be...
I am, yes. You pronounce it properly. Correctly.
Excellent. Can I call you Drex? Is that
that's fine. That's what most people call me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a superhero name, dude. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Good for you. Drax would have been better, but that's okay. Drex is pretty damn close. Okay, so you are at drexwellseymour.com. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about over there at your business today.
Okay, well, let me just say, so my business is really accounting. I have an accounting firm.
Right.
And I have two businesses, accounting and I do property management.
Good for you.
The Drexwellseymour.com is all the articles that I write. That's my
gotcha.
That's
creative
my hobby.
outlook. Right.
So I do that, as after I discover my gift.
Yes.
So I'm excited about
sharing that.
Even though I have these jobs, my excitement is fulfilling my purpose, doing my writing and www.drexwellseymour.com and doing my YouTube channel. That's what makes me exciting because I'm inspiring, I'm influencing, I'm encouraging people.
Yeah. And I'm down with that mission too. So we're going to talk more about that, all about your story and your sorry, I can't say that word now today.
That's okay.
Inferiority. There we go. I got it. You have to say inferior first and then add itty. Inferiority. There you go. Complex. Right. So anyway, as we do, we're going to tease a story later on, not right now. We're going to talk about that story that you teased to me that I've not heard, but it has something to do about a pen pal. So you're down with that. You're ready. It's churning in your brain right now. But first, let's go back and talk about your childhood. So you grew up in Turks and Caicos. So talk a little bit about what it was like growing up on a tropical island in a resort area.
Oh, wow. So Turks and Caicos is a group of islands.
Okay.
And so I grew up on one of the smallest islands called South Caicos.
Okay.
Of course, growing up, we had a very good community involvement where, we didn't have much to do, but whatever we did, it was fun. Our neighbors, everybody come to each other's house. We played softball.
Yeah.
We played marbles, different games. We didn't have TV growing up, but
you weren't missing anything. That's okay.
Probably not, right? But
I had way too much TV, and I'm not better for it. I know a bunch of useless information, but go on.
And so that was life about. We didn't have any, like my family didn't have any vehicles, so we walked to school.
Okay.
But we were not bored. We looked out for each other. It was a very, very community-oriented environment. Growing up.
Yeah.
We made the best of what we had.
So was it like an urban environment or more of a small town kind of environment?
Oh, very, very small town.
Okay,
Very, very
so
small town.
small town. Gotcha. Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Michigan, and I played marbles.
Oh, okay.
I definitely played marbles. Marbles were that was a real thing when I was a kid. I mean, I don't know how old you are. I'm going to turn 54 in June.
But I just turned 53. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So we're about the same age. So yeah, marbles were sort of like currency for kids. Right? I mean, yeah. You know, you got, if you got like really cool looking marbles, like I didn't like playing for keeps because, you know, I didn't want to lose my marbles. Okay. So I read a little bit of your bio, and I know that you ended up going to college really young. So let's get into that. What was like your early school days, and how did you end up going to college while you were so young?
So, I mean, in the Turks and Caicos, right? We follow the British system. We're still a British territory.
Yeah.
Right. So most people, you know, they finish their high school at age 16.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And then you could go like for 2 years and do A levels. But at that time we didn't have A levels.
Oh,
but I finished when I was 15 because I went a year earlier. So I finished.
Gotcha.
You know, and so that's how I ended up. And so that's why I ended up going to college at a very young age.
Right.
At age 16.
Okay.
Of course, going to college, it seemed impossible because, you know, many people didn't go to college.
Right.
From Turks and Caicos at that time, very few people. And of course, no one in my family ever went to college at that time. And so it looked impossible. And of course, we had this tourist family from Michigan, your place of birth.
Wow. That's neat.
Yes. He went to this college in Ohio, and he left some funds with the school, and he told them, you know, use some of these funds and provide scholarships to the people, to some students from Turks and Caicos. And that's how I ended up going to college at age 16 in Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're 16. That means you didn't have the Animal House adult version of a college experience, probably.
No.
Yeah. But that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So what did you study when you were in college?
So when I went to college, I will tell you this, I first started doing education and accounting because I thought that maybe I'll return to Turks and Caicos and I'll be an accounting teacher because I really thought, you know, that was my thing because I love accounting and I thought I was going to be a teacher.
Okay.
And then what I did, I think after semester 2, I reflect on it. I said, man, I'm not going to make a lot of money being a teacher. And so
you're right.
I decided to just do accounting and business management. So that's what I studied. And then my master's, I did an MBA in finance.
Wow. Oh, geez. So not only do you, so let me map this out in my brain here. So 16, 17, 18, you did a 4-year degree, right? And you graduated the 4-year degree probably when you were 19, 20, something like that?
I graduated as 19 because what happened was
That's great.
I took summer classes.
Wow. Okay. So
college. I should have graduated. I should have graduated in perhaps not perhaps. I should have graduated at age 20.
Right.
But I graduated age 19 because I did full summer classes.
Okay. You were just I don't want to screw around here.
Yeah. But you know what? Honestly, though, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would not have taken summer classes.
Okay.
I probably should have more experience, you know, the 4 years of college.
Right.
But I wanted to just rush everything through. You know, but I would encourage people, you know, not to speed up your process. Enjoy your college life.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So you
maybe
you regret that a little bit. I mean, you know, you don't have a time machine.
I regret that a little bit because I was young.
I have a similar regret. Like I was a little bit way too serious when I was your age. Yeah, I was a little. I mean, not always, but you know, on occasion, I was like acting like, well, there's a bunch of like yahoos here that I'm hanging around with, and I want to make sure they're okay. So I'm gonna play the adult role and do the right thing. And you know, when you're like 16, that you don't need to do that. Maybe yes, like if things get really really stupid and people are going to get hurt, then yes, right? Then by all means step up and do the right thing. But if you're just having fun, I mean, have fun.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. I went to a rock concert, and it was like a 3-hour drive away from home, and it was me and a bunch of kids, and then one of my dads let us drive his big Suburban. It's kind of like an old style SUV. And after the concert, we met up with like girls, and we brought them back to the room. And we had 2 rooms, and they were adjoining, and they stayed up all night and played cards with the girls, and had a good time. And I knew that I had to drive the next day, so I went to bed early. I should have just stayed up and partied.
So that's what you regret? That's what
I do. I regret that because I was trying to be a responsible adult, and I was far too young to do that. So, when you're 18, you can like sleep a couple hours and get up and be fine. I can't do that now. I could have done that.
Right? Tell me about it.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that's awesome. So you end up with a master's degree 2 years later, I take it, in finance? A year and a half. That sounds about right.
So I graduated. I graduated December 1990.
Wow.
I was still 20.
That's amazing.
My birthday was going to be the following month. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. And congratulations. So, okay. So now you're in Ohio for all of that, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So what part of Ohio are you in?
So for my bachelor's, it was a small town called Wilmington College, Wilmington, Ohio.
Is that in northern Ohio or southern Ohio?
Oh, that part I don't know. I got
You don't remember? Okay.
And then I know for my master's, I did it in Oxford, Ohio.
Okay.
At a school called Miami University.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is I just went to Cincinnati. So like
it's not far from Dayton and Cincinnati.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So Dayton area. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So like they say that like Ohio is sort of like 2 states because it's very close to the north-south border. So Cincinnati is really close to Kentucky. So it has a completely different vibe than Dayton and the northern part. So anyway, it was on my mind because I was just there.
Oh, okay. Well, I loved Ohio, and it's probably because that was the first place I've been.
Yeah.
In the United States,
Sure.
So I will always be like a second home for me.
Right. And it's part of your childhood. That's like when I was 18, I went to Japan.
Oh.
Yeah. My first base in the Air Force was Japan. So Japan will always be part of my childhood.
Yes.
And, as it turns out, I married a Japanese woman. So that meant that it's my other country now. So.
Oh, wow. You're definitely connected.
Yes. Yeah. And it's awesome. So, okay. So you, where did you end up getting a job then after you graduated? Did you go back to Turks and Caicos?
I returned home.
Okay, great.
Yes. I returned home in early 91.
Okay.
I think February or March. And then I started working for an accounting firm. It was called Coopers & Lybrand.
Okay.
It's an international firm. It's now called PricewaterhouseCoopers, I think.
Okay.
But it was called. I stayed there for 2 years. And then I went and worked with KPMG. That's another international accounting firm.
Okay.
And that was for a couple of years. In fact, I met my wife on my job at KPMG.
So you married another accountant? Is that what happened?
Actually, she was not the accountant. She was the secretary
okay. That's good. You can only have one accountant in a relationship.
That's right.
My wife is the accountant. Not really, not by trade, but by duty. So she does the checkbook and the balancing and all those like bookkeeping, and she like does the credit card statements and all that stuff. Yeah, and I'm the investor guy.
Okay, so she's the one that managed the finances.
Yes, and then when she has extra money, she gives it to me, and I invest it. So my wife and I are like, we have your duties split in half, right? So she's the accountant and I'm the finance guy, right?
Okay. One manage and one spend.
Yes. Well, invest, not spend.
Invest,
you could. She's in charge of spending too.
Yeah. Somebody got to be in charge, right?
That's right. It's shared duties. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So then at some point you start a business, and now I just want to get like, where are you living in the world now? Are you back home, or are you back in the States?
No, I'm in Turks and Caicos. I never left except for a period of about a year and a half when I was on a secondment working with KPMG in Ottawa, Canada.
Oh, nice.
Ottawa. I spent everything, all my other years after leaving the United States for college and my master's, I was in Turks and Caicos.
Excellent.
So I'm in Turks and Caicos.
Excellent. Yeah. And now that I've heard Turks and Caicos, I need to visit.
Yes, you should. Just let me know. And I'll make arrangements for you.
It just seems so amazing. I mean, yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And it's I guess it's like part of the Caribbean, right? You would call that part of the Caribbean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're right below Florida. You have, Florida, and you got the Bahamas, and below the Bahamas
right.
is
and it's still British. So if you go
it's
there.
Still British.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So like as far as like other vacation spots, is this like high end, low end, right in the middle? Is it like less expensive, more expensive? You don't know, do you? Because you live there.
Well, no, I know. It's high end.
Is it really? Oh, bummer.
It's high end.
It's hard to convince my wife to go to high end places.
Yeah, but even though it's high end, you can still find
deals,
some low to mid prices.
Okay, good.
For accommodation, but
right.
Of course, everything else, the restaurants may be high end, but it's high end. Yeah. But there's still. The majority is high end, but that doesn't mean that you can't find anything at low.
Right. You can backpack it if you choose to.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I need to know. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. My wife and I like to do travel, love traveling, but we want to be on the budget. We want to be on the,
of course.
Of course. Go grocery shopping and take it to the hotel.
Well, a lot of people grocery shop and
excellent.
Cook in their rooms because most of the hotels here are condos.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not like a typical hotel room. It's a condominium.
Right. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. So maybe we could get like an Airbnb or some other kind of vacation rental. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Just let me know because I also one of my business is property management.
Oh wow.
So I also manage some units at a resort. So you can always let me know. Yeah.
Okay. Now I have an in Turks and Caicos.
Yes.
My friend Drex in Turks and Caicos. Well, if you ever want to come to Vegas, let me know. There's an extra bedroom. You got a free place to stay.
Oh, thank you.
You can stay in my house. I don't have a rental, but that room's not doing anything. I
love Vegas. I've been there about 2 or 3 times. I love Vegas.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we just went to yet another Cirque show, and it was really good. It was called Mad Apple, and we went on our anniversary.
Mad Apple. Okay.
Yeah. So Mad Apple, it's much smaller show. Like the most Cirque du Soleil shows are really big, gigantic, and people flying everywhere, right? Yeah. This is sort of like a small version, and it's mostly singing and jokes. And there was only like a couple of people flying around. So, so as far as like, I think, how much is this show going to cost them to produce? Much smaller budget, but really good show. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know.
It's a really good show. Okay, so let's get into this. Before we get into the low self-esteem stuff, let's do this story about how you found this pen pal. Because that sounds intriguing to me.
So there was a program when I was growing up, because I say we didn't have much entertainment, but there was a radio show called Uncle Charlie's.
Okay.
And in fact, I think he was based in Michigan, actually. And so everybody's listened to Uncle Charlie. And so he had a platform whereby you could, get pen pals. And of course, I wanted pen pals in America.
Okay.
And I felt, so I wrote this girl, and I felt, that she might not accept me as a pen pal. So what I did, I sent a picture of my brother, who I think is better looking than me. and then I lied about my age.
You said you were older?
I said I was older, and then I was very embarrassed because she came back and say, "How could you say you?" I think I probably was about 10 at that time. She said, "How could you say you were 10, but you were born? How could you say you're 18, but you were born in 1970?" So that was very, very embarrassing to me. But, I got caught. I wasn't even thinking. I told the truth about my year of birth, but I lied about how old I was.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. I think like being a young person, one of the first things that you don't, I guess, one of the toughest lessons to learn is how to lie well. It's tricky.
I know, but
it's really tricky.
I know, but the thing about it, you got to cover one lie with another lie.
I know.
Sometimes you might forget what you lie about. So
right,
it's best. Me a lesson.
It's best not to lie, just because it's so hard.
Yeah, that taught me a lesson.
And if you're gonna lie, try to keep it simple. I think and avoid it at all costs.
Yeah.
Like if you can get away with something, if you can get away with something without having to come up with a lie, is way better.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Yeah. Because you know what? The truth always comes up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So let's get into this. So you decided to open up and start blogging about like all these different low self-esteem sort of issues. So let's just walk through those a little bit. So,
Sure.
So when did you decide to start doing this blog that you're doing at your website?
Probably about 5 years ago.
Okay.
That was, I think 5 years ago was the time when I was able to overcome it.
Oh, wow.
And so I started blogging about it. And then I'm writing a book about it. Part of it in the book.
Okay.
In 2021 is when I wrote the book.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you wrote a whole book about this.
I wrote a whole book. Yeah.
What's the name of the book? You have to tell me.
It's called Rise Up and Take Your Position.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. We will definitely link to that in your show notes.
It's on Amazon.
The show notes. Okay. How's it doing on Amazon? Pretty good?
It's going well so far.
Okay.
I wish I could do better, but it requires me to do some marketing. But so far, it's doing well.
You're doing marketing right now, so see, you're working.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
That's why I get to talk to you for free. You're doing marketing.
Yes.
So we will definitely link to that in the show notes. So, but let's get into this. So when did you start feeling these feelings? Right away or your whole life?
I think from the time I probably was about 5 or 6. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
Because what happened was I grew up in a society where if you're very, very dark skinned, there's even though it's a black society.
Wow.
But I grew up in a society with very dark skin, and I think that's common really among black people.
Interesting. I've heard this before. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
I've heard this before. So like
They're
darker
negative.
bad, lighter good.
Right. And
Okay.
negative.
Interesting.
Yeah, negative connotations.
Right.
About being dark skinned, and so I'm very dark, as you can see.
Right.
And so people just call me black, and then they call me ugly, and so all of that, and all that made me feel insignificant, and as a result, that's how the inferiority complex came about. And of course, as I say, I didn't know it was inferiority complex, but I know I didn't like.
You just kind of like believed it because you didn't know any better, almost, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I didn't like the color of my skin. I didn't like how I looked. It's because of what people said, and I wanted to be light skinned because my brother's light skinned. That's why I even sent a picture of my brother to the pen pal. I said, no, she's gonna look at me and she's not gonna like me. That's
like a double whammy there. I mean, it would be different like if everybody in your family is the same. At least you've got like commiseration, right? Yeah. But you're comparing your sibling to you and going, "Oh, I'm a piece of shit," basically.
Yeah. You're right.
And
absolutely, you're on spot.
Yeah, and wow. I mean, I thought that, but it was only just because my brother was bigger than me and he picked on me all the time.
Oh. Okay.
Was your brother bigger than you, and did he pick on you all the time? That's a pretty.
He didn't pick on me, but he was bigger than me. He was bigger. I'm the last child, but he was bigger than me. So
right.
But he never picked on me. Yeah, but of course,
that's nice.
You know,
how many years between you and your big brother?
So my brother is 7 years older than me, actually.
Yeah, it's too many years. That would just it's not fair. You know, you can't pick on somebody that much smaller than you. My brother was only 3 years older than me, so I'm fair game.
Got it.
There's rules, right? There's apparently. That's right. Apparently, there are rules. Yeah. So I think we all go through that. You know, and it changes as you get older, but it all starts in childhood. That like I'm not enough kind of feeling. Right. Yeah, or there's something wrong with me. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. But it didn't change for me. I just lived all my life.
You believed it, right?
I believed it.
Right.
I believed it. And that's why it's important. You know, I was speaking to this guy one day. He's a medical doctor and he was, you know, but he's also like a counselor.
Okay.
And he's saying anything that happens in your childhood, I think before you reach 12, I think he said, it will impact you for the rest of your life. And I believe that it impacted me for the rest of my life until a couple of years ago when I was able to overcome it.
Yeah, yeah. I had another guest on my podcast, and she was a PhD in like brain chemistry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So this idea that like everything, all of your experiences when you're pre-puberty, right? So before you turn 12 or 13, right? Mm-hmm. All of your experiences get locked in these circuits that get like extra super highway kind of speed on them.
Right.
Yeah. She called them myelated circuits. So they get like, there's these neural pathways with extra layers of fat. So that like, you know, your childhood trauma is literally hardwired into your brain.
I believe that.
It happens to everyone. It happens to everyone. That. Yes. So whenever you hear about anyone that is talking about trauma, you know, in their past, a lot of it, that, you know, it's true that it all, you know, what happened to you, what caused you pain, trauma, fear when you were, you know, prepubescent and a little bit in puberty too. Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is actually science knows this already.
I think it is.
It is. It's totally true. Yeah. And it happens to everybody. Now, some people obviously get more bad programming, you know, like, and it's just easier to believe when it happens when you're young. So,
yeah.
So let's talk about how this sort of like, I know you had this overarching sort of like inferiority. Hey, I said it, complex, right? But there's what does it feel like? How did that come through for you? How did you experience it?
Well, for example, I was afraid to be in the public. I didn't want anybody to see me.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Just really shy.
I try to stay to myself. I just tried to avoid being in public. And then at one point I even, was tempted to even use bleaching cream. They have this bleaching cream to lighten your complexion.
Wow.
And so the feeling was very horrible. You don't love yourself,
Right. You just think there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
Right.
you feel like your mistake. You came into this world. It's like,
Right.
man, it was a mistake.
Yikes.
And you always felt that people are better than you, so you try to, fit in with people. So you try to kiss up to people.
Okay.
Kiss
Right.
up to
Right.
people and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
And so that's how the experiences I went through.
Okay. And then there was a lot of like, so let's get into how did you overcome this?
It took me a very long time.
Was there professional help involved?
I didn't get any professional help.
Okay.
I think it's several things. I mean, one is my relationship with God. That made a
That's
difference.
Good. Yeah.
And of course, my wife, who I think is a beautiful lady, inside and out, she was part of one of the primary factors that caused me to overcome, because she keep reminding me, not to be bothered by what people say.
Right.
That I am not ugly, and it's okay if I'm dark skinned. So keep, even though we were married for many, many years, and then it just finally, hit, it finally just came off a light bulb in my head, and I say, yeah, you know what? She is right. She is right. So those were the two main factors that caused me to overcome it.
Huh. Did you do any like reading on the subject or anything? Or?
I didn't.
You
didn't do
didn't?
anything.
Wow.
No,
Lots of prayer though? Were there other people telling you that dark skin, light skin thing was bullshit?
No, because they didn't know. Nobody knew.
Nobody knew. Okay.
Yeah, I never discussed it. My family didn't even know about it. Nobody knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would just more or less absorb that idea through the culture because everybody knew that was true, right? And you just believed it.
I did.
Okay.
Yes. I believed it.
And basically your wife convinced you that was bullshit.
Yes. Yes, she did. She did.
Wow. Well, you got to keep her.
Yeah, and I never told her. Of course, I never told her about it until a couple years later, because even when we met, she didn't know what I was going through, but eventually told her. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. I think I went through my version of that too. Mine was a lot different though. Mm-hmm. It was yours was very, I would say clear and precise. You had this little, not good, you were just born that way. There's something wrong about you. I had a little bit of that. Mm. My parents always told me that I was an accident.
Really?
Not like, yeah, they did. I mean, but when
you wasn't planned.
I wasn't planned, right? When you hear that as a kid, though, right, you think I'm an accident. Another way of saying an accident is a mistake. Like we didn't really want you, right? I think
I understand.
Yeah, they were trying to say it as you were in a happy accident, like a whoops, there's Jeff, right? Right. But I took it the wrong way, and I think it's easy to do. The other thing is, I think I had a lot of like big brother issues, and I more or less mine kind of like spun out of control, and I got suicidal when I was in my 20s. So it sort of manifested into depression. So it got really scary for a while, and then I think probably through the grace of God, I lived. Through a suicide attempt, and that got me off of that spot to find a deeper truth about God, and then like what he wants us to do. So let's talk a little bit about how like your faith helped you like get over this concept or this complex.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So I think even though I used to be questioning God about
you should.
Why I'm going
God
through
gave
this.
you intelligence. You should question everything.
That's true. That's true. But then when I started focusing on the scripture, saying that all of us are equal, nobody,
right.
I can't remember the exact scripture,
right?
But he created all of us, and we all equal. I think that's when that sort of developed That sort of
You
increased my faith.
started buying that, like believing
Yes.
that more than the other
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right. And so that's what because anything I need, I say got to be in the Bible. And so when I found that, I think that was the main part of my relationship with God that allowed me to overcome it.
Yeah.
Knowing that He created me, knowing that He doesn't
Just
make
like you
mistakes.
are, right?
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And then there was another scripture that says, I think it's Jeremiah, He knew you before you was formed in your mother's womb.
Right.
So obviously He had plans for you, plans
Yes.
to prosper you, no plans to harm you.
Right.
So
right.
those two elements of the scripture were the propelling areas, and in terms of my faith, to allowing me to overcome inferiority complex.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that, I just, I heard a guy on a podcast. Now I can't remember his name, but I'll remember it in a sec. Oh, something Shapiro. Anyway, there's this famous Ben Shapiro. He was on a podcast that I listened to, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head right now. Lex Friedman. So Lex Friedman was talking to Ben Shapiro. So I would never know who Ben Shapiro is. He's a Jewish man and a big, I guess, commentator in the conservative space. Staunchly Jewish, staunchly conservative. Now, I'm not on that channel usually, but he crossed channels and he came over to my channel, and I really love the guy because
nice.
Yeah. And he said something that I hadn't heard, I think, put together in a way where he was like, if you go through Jewish traditional training in school in the Hebrew kind of thing, they'll tell you that God favors people, blesses them in all ways when they agree to fulfill traditional roles that God approves of. So like, be a good father. It sounds pretty easy. God wants you to do that. Right?
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
Yes. Be a good husband. Be a good mother. Be a good employee. Right?
Yes.
Whatever you sign up and say, I will do this.
Yeah.
Do that well.
Yeah. Do it well.
Do that
That's
well.
it.
With your heart. Now, it's not like you're not going to not make mistakes. He doesn't expect perfection. No. But when he said that, I was like, wow. It's so simple when you say it like that. Find a traditional role and do it well. And then I realized through my whole, backstory, like when I signed up and said, I'm going to marry you, I took that commitment very seriously, and I feel blessed now. And I think those blessings are part of, that deal with God that I made when I made that covenant. Awesome. Yeah. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense.
Does that echo in your life? Like when you take on a traditional role and God's on your side and you feel those blessings, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Right.
Yeah. And,
you look around
absolutely.
And every time I talk to someone else that is maybe a little less fortunate than me, and I say, I don't know how I ended up with like everything I have now, right? Like a comfortable, I can retire now. I don't have to work anymore. Right. I didn't do that. I did not do that. Right.
You're right. You're right.
I signed up and said yes. And then I did the thing that I said I would do. Everything else isn't me. Right. I could go on and on and on about all the ways I got lucky so many times. Not really luck.
Yeah. You're right. I endorse what you're saying. Absolutely. 100% endorse what you're saying.
Right. Yes. So talk a little bit about how you think maybe honoring these traditional roles has helped you be prosperous in life. Just because I think more people talking about that and saying it, right? And counting their blessings and, taking their piece, saying, hey, I wanted to be a financial advisor. I wanted to be an accountant. I wanted to be a business owner. I took that on and then I did it. right?
Mm-hmm.
But all the blessings aren't me. Right? Did that happen to you?
Yeah. So, of course, yes, very much. So, another thing that God, wants is, which is in the Bible, to be good steward. And so, to be a good steward, I think you have to do your best.
Yes.
In everything that you do. And then the thing about it too, a lot of times, we make these things. You say, man, when I get this or when I get that, I'm going to do better. But,
yes, right.
In the Bible, it says, He's going to give you these small things.
Right.
And if you do well these small things, you'll be able to do well in bigger things. And so that's why it's best to do your best in everything you do. And then your blessings will come because you are doing your best rather than, not doing your best at all. And so it definitely, relates to me. So whatever I do, I try to do my best. I don't take it for granted. I try to do my best because I believe that whatever I come into with is not a coincidence. And so I want to do my best with it. I don't want to lose what I have.
Right.
And do my best with it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just said something there that it resonated with me, right? It's like, I'll do better, or I'll be okay, or everything will be awesome when I blah, 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 right? Insert whatever here. Like, when I get a Tesla, then I'll have made it, or something like that, right? I've learned that is not true. That getting a Tesla, now you can get a Tesla. Nothing wrong with getting a Tesla. If you've earned a Tesla and you want a Tesla, you can afford a Tesla, enjoy that Tesla. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a healthy way of getting a Tesla. What I'm saying is that Tesla is not going to change your life, and it's not going to make you a better person.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think you were sort of like saying something close to that, as like, if everything will be okay when, I get this job or I marry this person or whatever. No, it's not. Everything's already okay. Right.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about finding your purpose and then being cool with that. So how did that kind of story play out for you?
It's a very good conversation about finding your purpose. And I know a lot of people think, well, they don't have a purpose.
Right.
But what I found that we have to be very careful sometimes too. For example, you may be running away from something and you feel that's not your purpose and the reason you're running away from it is because you are afraid of failure. For example, I ran away from writing. I just hated writing. Okay. I avoided writing classes in elementary school. I avoided writing classes in secondary, and I avoided writing classes in college.
Okay.
And not knowing that it was part of my purpose until later in life.
Interesting.
And so I want people to realize, don't run away from things. Sometimes it may be that same thing that you supposed to be running to. And then another thing too is that there may be times every night you go to bed, you're thinking about this thing, how you want to impact people's lives or make a difference. You just keep thinking about it. And if you're so passionate about something and you keep thinking about something, somehow you are on the road to discovering your purpose. And that's how I was able to discover my purpose, which is to influence, which is to encourage, and which is to inspire people. And I do it through my writing. And it took me a while, but I realize now what it is.
That's amazing. Good for you. So there's another question hidden in that question.
Okay, sure.
Because I don't like writing either. But I didn't run away from it. Does that make sense?
I understand.
Right? So I wrote a lot.
even though you didn't like it.
I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I did write a lot. what I found was I would rather talk. Right? So instead of blog, podcast. Now, does that mean like I'm running away from my purpose because I don't want to write? I don't think so, because I didn't run away from it. I went through writing.
I got you.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
I didn't avoid it. So anything that you think you might want to do and you avoid or run away from, right? And for whatever reason, I don't know why you were running away. Maybe you know now, maybe you don't. But for the longest time, I was writing for the wrong reason, right? I was just trying to blog to make money. Okay. So my heart wasn't in the right place, right? I wasn't really blogging to share what I wanted, like value. I was just like, well, if you write enough, maybe people will just randomly pay you.
I understand. I understand.
So when your heart's not in the right place, I think you've missed some point, right, of what you're doing. That's what I did, right?
Yes.
So when I let that go, right, like, I don't think I'm going to blog and have people give me money, but I could talk. Like if I just could have a podcast and talk to people, you don't have to pay me to do that. That's something I would do for free because it's really fun and I love it. And, is it my purpose? I think it's part of my purpose, right? Of an overall, being Jeff and being cool with God. And just, showing people, like I said in the beginning, it's like people don't talk about feeling afraid or low self-esteem or feeling inferior to others. They don't post that on Snapchat, right? So that's part of you and I, our purpose is to let people know that I'm thinking if you are a breathing human being, you have these feelings. Yeah. I think they're universal. Everybody has these to a greater or lesser degree. They just don't talk about it. Yeah. So you're
absolutely right.
That's why we're here.
A lot of people don't talk about it.
Right.
And so some people think, that they are different because they're not hearing other people talk about it.
Right. Right. So the other thing that as we wrap up, this has been going really fast. So we're getting close to the end already. But let's talk about this. You've got this nice thing about how do you settle on a purpose and be happy with settling? Because I know that's a key. Like people especially in the United States think settling is quitting or doing a layup or taking the easy road, right? I think you have a different opinion about that.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
So, even for settling with something, the thing is, if you find yourself, for example, with me, if you find yourself though waking up in the mornings, not enjoying what you do, then that's a red flag.
Right.
But if you feel that you've discovered what you were called to do, nobody's going to have to force you to do it. You're going to do it at your own free will. You're going to be excited about it. You're going to be excited about waking up to another day. And even though sometimes you may face obstacles in the process, you shouldn't quit.
Right.
Because this is what you were called to, and we will always have obstacles. You might even feel like what you're doing, but that doesn't mean that was not what you're called for.
Right.
And as I mentioned in the book, failures are opportunities. So you have to know deep within this is what you're called for, based on how you feel about it, the excitement, the passion, just trying to waking up, you can't wait to get up the next day to do what you got to do. Right. And so that's when you are considered to me settling, but it doesn't, you don't quit or you don't end up. All you have to do is try and embrace it, enhancing it by doing a lot of research in the area and keep doing more and more until you become very good in what you do.
Yeah, I agree with all of that for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. I like that once you found that, like this podcast is this for me is, again, this fun thing that I get to do. It's got zero pressure on it, right? Mm-hmm. And I do it for the joy of it.
That's, yeah, you know what you mean.
And, you know, I don't, it actually costs me money. I pay to do this. This is my, you know, you could say I'm gifting this value to the world because I pay for all the bills, right? And I'm happy to do it.
I know what you mean. I do the same thing because I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The same
it costs you money and you're happy to give that money. Yes. Yeah. So that's.
I also pay someone to do the video for me, you know. So.
Right. So another thing is like, I think I avoided having a purpose. Just that phrase bothered me because it made me feel like, I don't know, help me find the word, a tool or a machine or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay. So I don't really have free will if I have this purpose, right? That's not, I've come around when that Ben Shapiro talked about how God just wants us to play these traditional roles and he blesses people that commit and make a covenant, you know, or a deal, you know, with him. That all works. I mean, just do it. if you're doubting, just do it and see how it works out. Exactly. Yes. You know, and I'm telling you, it'll work out. Just do it. So the other thing is I don't know about you where you're at with your money, but I think about 2014, I found this movement called Financial Independence Retire Early, FIRE for short. And
Financial Independence. Okay, I have to check that out.
It's but it's all about like, you know, you can do it any way you want. So my flavor is different, but like if you're a young person, the idea is, you know, live frugally, right? Save a lot of money. And then figure out how much you can live on in a year, right? So your annual expenses, right? So that can be a big number or it can be a small number. It doesn't really matter as long as you can live within those means. That's your number. And then you times that by 25. And once you have 25x of your annual expenditures, right? Once you have that 25x number, in a diversified portfolio and then you only withdraw like something less than 4% a year, that should last you for the rest of your life. So technically that is the math version of how much is enough money. Now you need other things. Yeah. So when I found that was my sort of like, oh, wow. Okay. I figured that out and I realized I was closer than I thought. So in the last couple of years, I realized I was there. Yay.
That is awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. It is amazing. Yes. So if I asked you how much is enough, what does your answer look like? I mean, is that a money question or is that like a more spiritual question for you?
That's a good question, actually. I think, because I know a lot of people, even when it comes to money, it's like, it appears that the more money you have, the more you want to get. That's how it appears for some individuals.
Right.
But for me, enough is when I feel that, I believe that people should establish goals, right?
Right.
Realistic goals.
Yeah.
And I believe if you reach those goals, wherever your goals are, I think that should be your enough thing.
Right. Right.
It's just some people reach their goals and they still go beyond it. I mean, if they want to, that's fine. But I believe you should establish goals, and when you reach your goals, I think that's when you say enough is enough.
Right. There's nothing wrong with having a new goal. If you want to. Right.
Yeah.
But I think I think some billionaires just can never have enough money.
Oh, that's how it appears.
Yeah, and that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I think if you have some sort of mission, and, you know, that mission requires billions of dollars and it's all good for humanity, go for it. Knock yourself.
Right. Yeah.
But if it's just about, you know, having more money, I mean, how many houses can you have? You know,
exactly.
You can only live in one at a time, you know? So Anyway, okay. Well, this has been a blast. So before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit more about everything going on and how people can get in touch with Drexwell Seymour, my buddy Drex in Turks and Caicos, who I'm going to visit someday, I hope.
Sure. Hopefully this year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I wonder if is there any military bases anywhere in the Caribbean? Because I can fly for free on military flights.
We used to have Coast Guard base, Navy base here, but that was
it got closed
many years ago. It was closed. Yeah.
Bummer. Anyway, maybe I can get close and then island hop.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, so you are at drexwellseymour.com. So talk a little bit about how people can best get in touch with you, how they can find the book, all the stuff.
Sure. So I have a YouTube channel.
Excellent. Okay, we'll link to that in the show notes too.
I like to have you on my YouTube as well.
Oh, you can have me on your YouTube. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes. So, just Drexwell Seymour. YouTube. You type in my name. You'll see my YouTube. I'm also on Facebook.
Excellent.
I'm on LinkedIn, and my website is www.drexwellseymour.com. That's where I write articles. What I do, I write 2 articles a week.
Okay.
I write a community article and I write an inspirational article. That's on my website, and of course my book, Rise Up and Take Your Position.
I love that title.
That book is on Amazon.
Excellent. So we'll link to all of those awesome things in the show notes. And Drexwell, this has been a blast.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, I think
feels like I know you.
We're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
So blessings to you. Thank you for sharing your story, and have a great day.
Yeah, you have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.